The last video, we have shown you how to set up on radio. On the second video, we will show you how to configure the Maxx flybarless. The most important thing is to check the BEC, which is the power supplied to the flybarless. We connect BEC from escape to the Maxx flybarless. Then connect the RX on this satellite port. For other things such as tail servo and cyclic servo we will check later on. We only check the BEC first to make sure the flybarless has power supply. Then connect USB cable to the computer. After that, turn on the power by plugging in the battery. Before plugging the battery in, please remember to lock the motor by a screwdriver. We can also take off the main blades, but in this case, for easy operation, we can just lock the motor with a screwdriver. Now click to open the Maxx software. For radio, hold throttle and put aside. First of all, to set up the flybarless, remember to set up the tabs from left to right consecutively. The first table is Start Table. It displays the flying styles. You can select the style you want to fly. For example, if you are beginning, you can select Beginner Style. The helicopter is less sensitive to your stick commands, and it flies like coaxial helicopters. If you fly 3D, you can choose 3D style like this. For heli size, you can choose the size of helicopter you are setting up. Low BEC is the lowest voltage value we set up for BEC. Once you set up the value of low BEC, if the helicopter detects the BEC lower than the low BEC voltage value, it will not fly. This works great with nitro helicopters using LiPo batteries. When LiPo battery voltage is under, for example, 7 volts, it will not allow flying. The last line is the rescue mode setup. This value is the highest value of cyclic pitch that we would like the rescue mode to be activated. If higher than this value, the rescue mode is activated. Next table is RX/TX. This is a very important table. For binding spectrum radio and receiver, if receiver and transmitter are not linked together, in this case it's DMS2 satellite, we need to bind them. Click on Bind button. A window will pop up, click on Yes. Then unplug the battery and replug them again. You will see the satellite light is blinking. It's binding. At the radio, go to Function List and choose System Setup, and a window pops up. Click Yes for binding. In System Setup menu, choose frame rate to double check the mode to make sure it is on mode DSM2 correct with your satellite. Then choose Bind function in the System Setup menu. A window pop up and click on Bind to bind satellite with radio. Then the radio recognizes and binds with the receiver. Done. That's how we bind Spectrum satellite. Now we check the stick direction. Go to Monitor menu on the radio. Check the direction of the stick as described in Part 1. Here we can also check on the software screen. Pull the right stick to the right. The red dot of the right graph moves to the right. Push the right stick up. The red dot will move up. For the tail, move the right stick to the left. The red dot on the left graph moves to the left. Move the left stick to the right. The red dot will move to the right. That is correct setup. Now this table setup is done. If there is any direction is reversed, we have to reverse it again on radio. Remember, radio has to follow flybarless. For example, any channel is reversed, you can change it in the reverse menu by selecting and pressing the button once. Then on the software screen, click on Set Center button for it to recognize the middle point. 3 channels rudder, elevator and aileron should be nearest to 0 as possible. Make sure the stick direction is correct and the middle point goes to 0 is correct. Set default servo endpoint at 380 to 420. Each radio is a bit different but all around 380 to 420. Next is sensor placement. We just select the correct position on the helicopter. If we put the flybarless on the helicopter with wires on top, we choose the correct type on the setup screen. Next is the swash plate type. Look at this Kraken. The swash plate has this configuration, so we choose the types of swash plate with elevator in the back. Remember, the aileron on the left is always on channel 1. Next is servo tab. Choose the servo type. It is very important to choose the correct servo type and plug the servos into the flybarless as instructed on the manual. Next is trim servo. Pitch at 50% and stick at center. Next table. We set these 2 travel values so that max and min collective pitch are suitable to the way we fly. We can click on the bars and enter the values. Then go to cyclic table. There are such parameters. This limit value, we set so that we pull the right stick all the way and measure the main blade pitch. If pitch is more than 12 degree, you can reduce the value, and when it is less than 12 degree you can increase the value. Other parameters should be set at default. Default agility at 100, gain at 60, roll rate 280, flip rate 270. If you forget the default values, click on the default button to reset them. For advance, we do not talk about it now. Right now we just need to set for it can fly first. For tail, pay attention that before plugging in the servos, select the right servo type. Then plug servo connectors into the flybarless. Then turn the left stick to the left and right, and you can see the servo is working. Then we set travel limit from 80 to 120 is OK. In this case we set at 92. If the arm is too long, this number is smaller. If the arm is too short, this number is bigger but should be from 80 to 120. This advanced section we will save for later. Please note this gain parameter is not in use. It only for showing the radio gain. If you change it, still goes back to the original setting. The yaw rate is to set up the tail speed. Better keep it at default. For governor, you can disable it if not in use. We will have a separate video about the governor later on. The last one is bank. These are parameters of 3 banks that need to manage. These bank parameters as instructed in the part 1 of the setup video. If we do not use the governor of Maxx flybarless, we will shift by channel 7. RPM is set at 3 levels, 50%, 75% and 100%. However, we do not use bank also OK. It will default at one of those 3 banks. For example, if it is default at bank 1, it will show bank 1 parameters. If you want to use bank 2 or bank 3, you can change these values. Each bank is associated with cyclic agility and cyclic gain and RPM of Maxx governor. If we do not fly governor of Maxx flybarless, we do not need to look at this RPM values. The log tab is for review. Please note that if the tail servo is at wrong direction when moving the sticks, you can click on the servo picture. The window will pop up. Click OK to change direction of the servo. These basic settings are enough for flying. Thanks for watch.